Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and we've been hearing a lot recently about an upcoming Joker movie. Or movies, I should say. Rumor has it there could be 3. The first being a sequel to Suicide Squad, with Jared Leto reprising the role and with Will Smith and Margot Robbie returning. Second, a Joker spin-off with Leto and Robbie exploring Joker's relationship with Harley Quinn, as of now directed by Crazy Stupid Love directors Glenn Ficarra and John Requa. And the third, the one that has gotten the most people talking, a rumored standalone non-DCEU origin story for the Joker, with director Todd Phillips attached. He made the Hangover movies. Also currently attached as producer Martin Scorcese, legendary filmmaker of Goodfellas and The Departed. And yeah, it's that third one that, again, according to rumor, they approached Leonardo DiCaprio to play the Joker. Now, we should say that none of these movies are even movies yet. Like, no scripts have been written. These are all just ideas in development, based on unconfirmed Hollywood gossip that we really shouldn't read too much into. No, get that Voss goss out of here. I don't have any. But all of this does bring up the very interesting question of what would a great film about the Joker even look like? How do they get this right? So we've seen several adaptations of the Joker in past films, TV shows, comics and graphic novels, animated series, and video games. And the best versions of the Joker overshadow the story that they're inside of. They are iconic. Jack Nicholson received top billing as the Joker in Tim Burton's Batman, and it's hard to think about The Dark Knight without seeing Heath Ledger's face, or Batman the Animated Series without hearing Mark Hamill's voice.
First thing tomorrow, I'm sending a lovely case of cat food to Batman.
In fact, I would argue that these 3 Jokers left such a strong impression that those stories weren't really Batman stories as much as they were Joker stories. Also, these takes on the characters seem to be driven by this idea of calculated chaos. Yes, they all carry out complicated schemes and tricks, but it's never really clear what the end goals of those plans are, other than complete disorder. In that sense, we don't see these Jokers so much as men as much as sadism and anarchy embodied in human form. So with all this in mind, let's discuss 2 key elements that we would want to see in any Joker movie that gets made. 1, I think it should embrace the mystery of the character. So one of the rumors about these upcoming Joker projects that has gotten fans a little antsy is the idea that one of them might be a Joker origin story. Now, the reason this is a little controversial is that most modern takes on the Joker are defined by the fact that we don't know for sure what his origin is. So, for example, Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight offered conflicting accounts on the origin of his scars.
You wanna know how I got these scars? My father was a drinker. Mommy gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious? Let's put a smile on that face." So I had a wife who gambles and gets in deep with the sharks. One day they carve her face. I just want to see her smile again. I stick a razor in my mouth and do this.
And towards the end of the movie, he starts to tell Batman a third origin story before getting cut off. And fan theories have speculated that this Joker could have been a former soldier based on his expertise with explosives and the line he says to Harvey Dent.
If tomorrow I tell the press that like a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics, because it's all part of the plan.
Chrisopher Nolan actually said that when conceiving this version of the Joker, he was influenced by a few different literary sources, like Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. That graphic novel is considered by many to be the best exploration of the Joker's psychology. And the Joker actually does explain his origin story in that. A husband to a pregnant wife, financially struggling from a failed comedy career, who turns to a life of crime to pay the bills, and then goes insane after an accident in a chemical plant. The animated movie version of The Killing Joke followed this backstory too. But the thing is, this whole origin is told through the Joker's perspective. In fact, Moore's dialogue gives us reason to believe that he could be an unreliable narrator lying about his past. He actually admits he has alternate memories of a single event, saying, "Sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." Even more modern takes on the Joker have followed this idea of reinvention. DC head Jeff Johns suggested recently that there are actually 3 Jokers in the Rebirth comics, which is kind of crazy and I don't want to go into here. But the takeaway from all this is that origin stories are often better left as a mystery. The Joker is one of the best pop culture villains of all time, up there with Darth Vader and Hannibal Lecter. And I think we learned from those other 2 villains' origin stories that it can feel a little unsatisfying to see a villain get created, because in that case you inevitably humanize them and you take away their power as a threatening character. Look, I know it's human nature to want to psychoanalyze everyone and figure out what exactly makes them tick. But when it comes to great stories, we don't have to relate with and sympathize every character. Sometimes characters can just represent concepts that scare us. Yeah, some men can just want to watch the world burn, and that's okay. Now, I do think it's possible that a Joker origin story film could avoid this kind of humanization or a TMI backstory. For example, imagine one that depicts the Joker as sort of a Hannibal Lecter figure locked up in Arkham Asylum, counseling a young Harleen Quinzel or Batman or Nightwing or Robin as he taunts them with possibly bullshit origin stories as he plots his escape. Guys, I just want to see a movie with like 20 different Joker origin stories. In fact, you could give each one to a different director, kind of like that anime Gotham Knight anthology short story movie did. Okay, I'm getting too fan fiction-y here, so let's move on to the other key to making a great Joker film. Learn from the best. Okay, honestly, whenever iconic characters get rebooted or reimagined, it seems like there's this pressure to reinvent the wheel. There's a little voice inside every filmmaker and actor that tells us that people will think we're a hack or a plagiarist if we don't try to be as new or as original as possible. But I don't think there's any shame or hackery in recognizing the decisions past artists have made that were extremely successful and trying to follow in their footsteps. Like, sure, Heath Ledger brought a unique perspective to the Joker with his method acting, his nuanced mannerisms, and grungy hair and makeup. But I would say the heart of his character was the sadism and chaos and unpredictability, qualities that were explored long before Ledger ever got the role, by people like Alan Moore, Neil Adams, Danny O'Neill, Bob Kane, and yeah, Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson. Meanwhile, those two were clearly taking inspiration from Cesar Romero's giddily insane clown prince of crime in the 60s. Now, I actually kind of enjoyed Jared Leto's version of the character in Suicide Squad, but I think he tried a little too hard to replicate Ledger's method approach to the character, like covering himself with punk tattoos and mailing his co-stars shit. Jared Leto didn't need to reinvent the Joker. Heath Ledger didn't reinvent the Joker. He and Christopher Nolan just tapped into the pre-established psychology of the character that was most interesting to explore. Now, I've argued before how Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is largely successful because it follows the plot points of Michael Mann's film Heat, and I could get into how all the nerd shit that we love, The Force Awakens, Logan, Stranger Things, work precisely because they follow proven formulas of classics. And that doesn't make them hacks, it makes them smart. But that is another video. All I'm saying here is, however Warner Brothers plans to adapt the Joker in a new film, I'm not gonna complain if it looks a lot like something we've seen before, as long as it's something we all loved, like Silence of the Lambs. Or if this does end up being a Scorcese DiCaprio joint, a Shutter Island Joker could be fun. You know, trippy visuals, an unreliable narrator, a tragic backstory that doesn't overly sympathize with the character. Just think about it. Also, we don't need 3 different Joker movies, do we? Like, one would be fine, right? Okay, I have more opinions about this than I thought, so I'm gonna throw it to you. What do you want the Joker movie to look like? And if this DiCaprio rumor is bullshit, which it sounds likely, and they do replace Jared Leto, who would you want to see play this new Joker? Join me in telling Hollywood film executives how to do their jobs in the comments below, or tweet me directly at EA Voss or New Rockstars at New Rockstars, and share this video and subscribe to New Rockstars to get all of our news about DC movies and imaginary DC movies that don't even exist yet. And if you want, you can help us make more videos like this by contributing to us on Patreon. Big thanks to all of our current donors, especially Christina Armstrong. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.